On the wide Tibetan plateau, where the sky stretches endlessly and snowy peaks glow in the morning sun, lies a small stone village at the foot of the majestic Himalayas. The wind sweeps freely through the valleys, carrying the scent of pine and juniper. And in this stillness, one can hear the distant ringing of yak bells. It is in that quiet place that an old woman lives, known to everyone simply as Amatashi. Her home is small, its walls rough and weathered by countless winters, yet softened by the bright colors of prayer, flags that flutter tirelessly in the wind. The villagers believe each flag carries blessings of peace across the open sky. And for Amatashi, this breeze, this light, this mountain air, all of it feels like family, constant companions in her solitude. She is over 70, her frame small, her back gently bent from decades of labor in fields and barns. Yet her eyes hold a calm radiance. They shine with the patience of someone who has seen hardship, and with the compassion of one who never allowed bitterness to settle in her heart. The lines etched across her face are not merely marks of time, but records of a life lived with resilience and quiet strength. Around her neck hangs an old rosary, its wooden beads polished smooth by her touch. Over her deep red robe, with a layer of orange cloth at her chest, she wears a thick brown woolen cloak that guards her against the mountain wind. In her hand, a bronze prayer wheel turns slowly, each spin steady like a heartbeat, a rhythm of devotion that never fades. Amatashi never married. Her life unfolded in simple patterns, shaped not by children or husband, but by mountains, seasons, and the gentle companionship of living beings great and small. Yet she does not feel alone. To her, the wind whispers like a friend who always knows her thoughts. The yaks grazing in the pasture are children entrusted to her care, and the moon itself is a quiet companion watching over her from above. Often, the children of the village run to her door, drawn by the warmth of her presence. They climb into her lap and ask for stories. She smiles, her voice soft, carrying the weight of both memory and prayer, and tells them tales of old gods, brave ancestors, and spirits that dwell in rivers and mountains. To them, every word feels like a blessing drifting into the world. Each day begins before the sun has fully risen. At dawn, when mist still lingers in the valley and the peaks glow faintly pink, Amatashi wakes. Wrapping herself in her heavy brown cloak over the red and orange layers of her robe, she steps into the yard and bends to light a fire from yak dung cakes saved carefully from the season before. Blue smoke curls into the air, mingling with the first rays of sunlight, as if carrying her breath straight to the heavens. Inside her modest shrine, incense burns slowly. Before an image of the Buddha, worn and darkened by time, she folds her hands and bows. Her whispered prayers are not only for herself, but for the yaks in the fields, for the children of the village, for strangers she will never meet, and for all living beings who share this vast earth. Prayer, to her, is not a duty, but a bridge, one that connects her small beating heart to the immensity of mountains, sky, and every fragile breath of life. When the prayers are done, she prepares a simple breakfast, a bowl of roasted barley flour mixed with a pinch of salt, and a steaming cup of butter tea. The tea is thick and salty, its warmth spreading deep into her bones, and as she sips, she tastes not only food, but also memory of her mother's hands, of winters long past, of ancestors whose voices seem to echo in the steam. She eats slowly, reverently, as though each bite ties her to generations before and to those yet to come. When her meal is finished, Amma Tashi does not forget others. She places a small portion of sampa and a little butter tea outside on the porch. Soon, thin cats and stray dogs wander in, their tails wagging timidly, their eyes shining with hope. Amma Tashi greets them with a smile that softens the air. "You too are living beings," she murmurs, her voice like a lullaby. "Let us share these blessings together." The animals eat eagerly, and for a while, her small yard feels transformed, warmer, brighter, as if the mountains themselves lean closer to listen. In that moment, every creature, human or not, finds a kind of shelter in the quiet compassion of her heart. One autumn morning, after the barley fields had been harvested, and the scent of dry earth mixed with juniper smoke lingered in the valley, two strangers arrived. They were not pilgrims, nor locals, but researchers from Japan, traveling across Tibet to learn from elderly women who still carried the ancient wisdom of healing and resilience. The first was Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, a tall, slender man in his 40s with thoughtful eyes behind thin-rimmed glasses. His black hair, messy from the long road, fell across his forehead, and he carried a small notebook, always ready for sudden thoughts. Walking beside him was Aya Kobayashi, a woman in her early 30s with a gentle presence. Her long hair was neatly braided, and a wool scarf wrapped around her neck added warmth to her graceful face. There was a softness in Aya that made others open their hearts. They had heard about a remarkable woman in this village, Amma Tashi, who was said to keep not only prayers, the art of being at peace amidst life's storms. When they reached her home, Amma Tashi was sitting on the porch, slowly peeling potatoes. Over her layered red and orange robe, her brown woolen cloak draped loosely around her shoulders, and beside her a pot of butter tea simmered on a clay stove, filling the air with the rich scent of roasted barley and salty milk. "Tashi Delek Amma," Aya bowed respectfully, her voice warm and sincere. Amma Tashi looked up, her wrinkled face lighting with a gentle smile. "Tashi Delek," she replied, and gestured for them to sit. Through a young interpreter, Dr. Tanaka explained, "We have come a long way to learn from you, Amma. We wish to understand how you have found peace and strength in this harsh mountain life." Amma Tashi chuckled softly. "Peace and strength are not found in faraway places. The mountains teach both, if we are willing to listen." She poured them each a cup of butter tea. Aya took a sip, surprised by the salty, creamy taste. Amma Tashi noticed and laughed kindly. "This tea not only warms the body," she said, "it also teaches the tongue patience." That evening, they sat together in her dimly lit home. Butter lamps flickered, casting shadows across bundles of dried herbs hanging from the beams, while the medicine Buddha Thanka glowed faintly in the firelight. Amma Tashi began to share her story. "When I was young, life was not easier than it is now, but it was slower. We woke with the dawn, lit the fire, and led the yaks to pasture. Time was not measured by clocks, but by the sound of bells around the animals' necks and the colors of the sky. When hardships came, snow ruining the harvest, sickness taking loved ones, or children leaving the village for the city, we did not despair. The mountains taught us to breathe with them. When we lose, we give. When we grieve, we pray. When we feel lonely, we listen. That is how the heart survives. Aya leaned forward, eyes glistening. Dr. Tanaka kept writing in his notebook, but slowly realized that some truths could never be captured in words. The next morning, Aya found Amatashi sitting quietly on the porch, her prayer beads slipping through her fingers as she whispered mantras. The first rays of the sun painted the snowy peaks in gold. Aya sat quietly beside her, not wanting to disturb the silence. After a long while, Amatashi spoke softly. In your world, everything moves too quickly. People keep running, but they forget how to sit still. Yet the heart also needs rest, just as the earth needs winter. Aja's voice trembled as she replied, "In Japan, we are always busy. Work duties, one thing after another. Sometimes I wonder if I am truly living or only moving like a shadow." Amatashi turned to her, her clouded eyes shining with clarity. "Then sit," she said simply. "Sit until the mountain within you grows stronger than the storm around you." They stayed a few more days, watching Amatashi tend to her herb garden, whispered gently to her yaks, and light incense for the spirits of the mountains. Every action she did was filled with quiet presence, a kind of wealth that no money could buy, born of faith and inner peace. When it was time to leave, Amatashi stood at the doorway with her prayer beads in hand, her cloak falling loosely over her red and orange robe, and said, "Go in peace, and carry with you not only my words, for it is in silence that true happiness is found." Aya bowed deeply, tears streaming down her cheeks. Dr. Tanaka felt the same heaviness in his chest, a weight that was tender, not sorrowful. As they walked away, the prayer flags above the village fluttered in the mountain wind, carrying Amatashi's blessing into the wide open sky. For them, this meeting was not just a journey of research, but a mirror reflecting a forgotten truth: that the modern world chases money and success, yet often loses the quiet joy of simply being alive.